Hi everyone, it's Kevin Jones with Life, Mind, and Money. Today we're going to be focusing on what it really means to retire. A lot of times people associate it with the ending of a career or hitting some age that you feel like it's time to retire. While that may be true in some cases, the reality is this is more about math than anything else. Do you have the funds to actually allow you to survive through the rest of your life? And that's what we need to find out. And I want to help you understand where you're placing your money. Is that a good thing or not? And then lastly, figure out, actually, is your money working harder than you? We'll talk about that, because if it is, you ultimately have enough money to actually retire. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be 65 years old like to qualify for Social Security. You could be at any age as long as you have enough funds to actually last throughout time until your end of days. So we'll discuss this more. If you haven't already done so, please smash that like button, as it helps the channel a ton and the YouTube algorithm. A lot of times people relate retirement to an age these days, like 60 or 65. It probably has a lot to do with Social Security and when you qualify, or it just feels like the end of a career and that's when it's time to move on. But the reality is that retirement these days is really about how much money you have and can it last for the rest of your life. You may have heard things like the FIRE movement, where these young adults are saving up every penny they have and retiring at the age of 25, 30, 35, and it runs the gamut. This is unheard of in these times, but they believe that they have enough savings in their account that they actually can live on. And many people are living off of out of homes or in RVs or even leaving the countries where they know their money will go farther. The reality is that you need to have enough money that will actually sustain you for time, and it's not attached to any age. While we all want to have fulfilling careers, and maybe that's something for you, the real question is, can your money last you? Money is actually a living, breathing thing. And depending on where you place your money, it could actually be gaining or losing money at any given time, even while we're sleeping. That's why we talk about, is your money working harder for you? Because it is always churning at every moment, even when you're not paying attention to it. So let's discuss some situations where your money may be parked to see how hard it is working for you currently. Now goes the saying, many people place their money in their mattresses. While that's kind of silly in nature, the reality is if you were to place your money in, let's say, a cookie jar, your money is actually doing nothing for you. While it's great that you're actually saving that money, your money is actually devaluing itself because of what's called inflation. And inflation is what the daily goods of around us are actually going up in value over time. Right now, the U.S. inflation rate is around 1.5% and will fluctuate from time to time. So just keep in mind, if your money stays stagnant in a cookie jar at $100, and 1 year later, that money will only be worth $98.50 because I'm taking the 1.5% off of it. So placing your money where it's just stagnant, like a cookie jar or a mattress, is not a good place for your money to be working for you, because it's absolutely doing nothing for you at that time. Another great place people like to park their money is something like a savings account or a CD, which is called your certificate of deposit. While these are great places to put money for savings, they're only earning you somewhere between 2 to 4 or 5%. In the grand scheme of things, if you talk about inflation, that's going to eliminate a lot of that gains year over year. So your money might stay up with the current market, but the reality is it's not going to grow with you fast enough in order for it to be sustainable long term. Savings account are a great place for some simple savings for you to grow money short term, but long term, you're going to want to put your money in things that will grow faster, like investments in stocks and bonds and mutual funds. Just like I stated, if you put your money in something like a stock or a mutual fund or a bond, it has the potential to grow anywhere from 6 to 12% annually. Now we're actually starting to see some long-term growth of your money, and that will beat inflation year over year for many years to come. So it really depends on where you're placing your money on how hard it's working for you. And you should analyze how you're putting your money and why you're putting it in certain areas. Because if you really truly want to achieve your retirement dreams, you really need to put your money in smart places so that it will grow year over year. As you start thinking about your retirement as well, you also have to think about what accounts you have to put that money in. because those accounts have different implications on how they'll be used when the retirement date comes around. So let's discuss a few. One may be like a employer-based plan like a 401k or a 403b, or maybe even a simple IRA. These are all pre-tax accounts, meaning that your money goes in before Uncle Sam gets any of your money. So it will grow exponentially over time. Now, when you're ready for retirement, those accounts will all be taxed at the time that you withdraw the money. So that's one way of saving for retirement. Another way of looking at a retirement account is something like a Roth IRA. What's great about these accounts is that Roth IRAs grow tax-free, but you put after-tax money in there. Many times that you'll get your paycheck, which means that the government has taken its share, then that money's become your own. That money is what goes into a Roth IRA, and then from that point forward, it starts growing tax-free. And then so that when the time when you need it for retirement, you don't owe the government anything that's left in that account. And this can be a great avenue for helping your money grow and knowing that you'll never have anything else taken from you when it comes the time to retire. Now that you have all this information, let's talk about whether you actually have the means to retire and what that looks like. Remember, we're talking about, can your money work harder than you? And I'm going to give you an example of what exactly this means. So the first thing you need to do is determine what kind of lifestyle you want. So let's say that you're making $100,000 a year, and that fits your lifestyle perfectly, and that is what you want to maintain all the way through the rest of your life. That's great, but you got to have the funds in place to actually make that happen. So let's say that you are earning somewhere around a 10% rate of return on your money. Now, some people might say that's outrageous, but there actually are funds out there that can maintain an average rate of return of about 10%. So if we were to do the math here, the point about having your money work harder than you is that you want to make sure that your principal is never touched, and that is your lump sum of money. So if you're looking to maintain $100,000 each year during retirement, that would equate to $1 million, because 10% of $1 million is $100,000. So that you can keep having that $100,000 year after year, and that $1 million would never be touched. This is the whole principle of having your money work harder for you. You need to figure out exactly how much money you need, and if you're in good investments that you know will keep returning you money year after year, then you'll know that your nest egg will never be touched, and you'll always have the funds all the way till your dying day. So as you can see, this now becomes more of a math equation than it does simply a retirement date. And for those people who are retiring at the age of 30, many of them stocked away as much money as they can in a 5 to 10 year period where they have nested over $1 million, and they've put their money in investments that are growing exponentially for them so that they can keep having that $1 million nest egg last them for longer than any of us could ever imagine originally. That's why the FIRE movement is interesting, but it's not for everybody. It's something that you would have to be completely dedicated to. But that's not the whole point of this conversation. The point is that I want you to build a nest egg to what you need in your lifetime. And if you want to retire early in your 40s and your 50s, then make it happen. You don't have to be dependent on thinking that, oh, I need Social Security, so that's when I'm supposed to retire. And don't let the government dictate to you that, oh, I can only claim at 62 or later. The reality is that you set your own targets and make sure that the equation makes sense to you so that you have enough funds to last. So here's some things that I want you to consider when you're making your plans for retirement and you're getting closer. One, think about inflation. It varies from year to year, but also keep in mind that your money will shrink over time if you don't keep up with it. So just keep a close eye on what inflation is year after year. Two, keep a close tabs on where your investments are and what they are gaining year after year. That annual rate of return is important so that you know that one, it's keeping up with inflation, but also is growing exponentially enough to create that additional revenue that you need during retirement. The third thing you need to consider is age restrictions. There are a lot of accounts out there that have a lot of tax advantages, like a Roth IRA. but you can't start withdrawing from them until the age of 59 and a half. And there's also some age requirements on other accounts out there as well. So make sure to do your research and knowing that you can actually access that money for your retirement before you actually make the decision. The last thing you need to consider is your budget. Keep in mind with our example here is that we were going to live a lifestyle of $100,000 a year. So we need to build a budget that actually can live around that. If we start going past it too many years in a row, we will actually end up depleting our savings and our nest egg, and we actually may outlive our own savings. And we would hate to find ourselves in that situation living strictly on Social Security, as many people have found themselves. So just make sure that your budget actually fits within the terms of your goals here, that if you're going to live on $100,000, that you actually stick to it, because you want to make sure that your money sticks around for the rest of your life. Thanks for watching. In Life, Mind, and Money, we focus on money today. Retirement doesn't have to be an age like 65, like the rest of society believes. The reality is that we need to set a target for ourselves for the amount of money that we will need, knowing that it will last us the rest of our lifetime. Once again, it's all about having our money work harder than us based on some set budget. Once you've achieved that target, you now have the ability to retire on your own terms when you're ready to move on to the next chapter of your life. You can only set that for yourself. As always, if you haven't already done so, please smash that like button, as it helps the channel a ton. Also, we'd love to hear from you, so if you could leave your comments below. And lastly, if you haven't done so, please hit that subscribe button, as we love the support. Thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you next time.